Hey, everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk about Facebook, the truth about their name change. And a lot has been said. A lot of people have been talking about the name change, but I feel like there's an aspect of it that has not really gotten covered much. Plenty of people have been critical. Good. I'm glad they are for that name change. But by the way, all the donations in like the YouTube super chat or on Venmo at Lee Camp, all of those go to people who are struggling, people who need a little help in these tough times. If that is you, you can email commoncensored at protonmail.com. And again, I always like to make a point that if it's some kind of emergency where you need money or something, then this isn't going to be for you, because for one thing, it often takes us a week or two to get it to people. And secondly, it's not thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's just a little bit of, and it's whatever you guys donate. So you guys donate a certain amount, and then all of that goes out to people who are struggling, who need help. So that's where all of your donations go if you donate. So let's get into this. The Facebook name change. A few things that I think the mainstream media has probably talked about is that part of it is part of the reason for the name change is because the term Facebook has become toxic. I mean, very few people talk about Facebook and go, "Oh, I just love Facebook." I mean, in order to say that sentence, you kind of have to be just like a middle-aged mom who's like 55, living in a house with a yard that belongs to a housing association, where if the grass gets above this high, then someone comes and knocks on your door and goes, "Hi, Cheryl. I notice your grass got above the inch mandatory maximum, the maximum allowable grass height growth. And, we just wanted to talk to you about that. Wondering if you'd noticed, wondering if you could have your lawn maintenance person, which you certainly have, because we all have lawn maintenance people, because we wouldn't do it ourselves. Wondering if you could talk to them about that, because you did sign something saying the grass could never be above that mark there." Okay. Okay. Excellent. Just wanted to make sure you were aware of it. Anyway, that woman is the only one who might be currently saying the sentence, "I just love Facebook." No one says they love Facebook. People may say they use Facebook. People may say, "Oh, yeah, I don't love it, but I have a lot of friends on there." Or, "I don't love it, but the truth is I can get better media on there than I can get from CNN," which is also true. So there may be reasons to use it, but their brand has become pretty toxic. So they're changing their name. And here's what you'll notice. And this is the part I don't think mainstream media has really mentioned, because mainstream media is still giving in to the corporate rulers, the corporate daddies, the corporate teats that they are sucking at, that the supple teats of corporate America that they are lovingly sucking at. This is a common trick for corporations that have become toxic, is to change their name to a word that has multiple meanings across our language, across our zeitgeist, so that you can't really make their name fully toxic. The term Facebook is fully toxic now because it means one thing. There's only one thing in all of language that Facebook could mean. There is no, when people say, "Yeah, I was on Facebook," but no one's like, "Well, what do you mean by that? Which kind of Facebook are you talking about?" Whereas the term Meta, which is, for those of you who don't know what Facebook has changed their name to, Meta, META, the word meta has a lot of meanings. It's used for a lot of things. You could talk about metamorphosis. You could talk about metadata. You could talk about meta as in, "Oh, that's meta. That's, metaphysical." It has a lot of meanings. So you can make it, we can still work to make the term meta as a corporate name toxic, but it will never be fully toxic because it means so many different things. You saw this same name change branding garbage from Blackwater. Blackwater, remember them? They are the mercenary group that caused all kinds of fucking innocent people to, not caused, they killed all kinds of innocent people in Iraq, in other places. I believe they were also in Afghanistan. And someone, Robert, saying that the term meta means female death in Latin, which, I don't want it to be just female, but death might be appropriate. Anyway, Blackwater, when they became fully toxic, when they no longer could operate as a corporate entity without people going, you were at Blackwater. You know someone at Blackwater. You want to do business with Blackwater? Like, it became so toxic that they had to change it. So what did they do? They changed it to ZXE, which is almost impossible to have a conversation about. We're thinking of doing a deal with Z. With what? With Z. Isn't that a letter? You're going to do a deal with a letter? Is this like Sesame Street? Today is sponsored by Z? No, Z, the company, Z. There's a company named Z? I thought it was a letter. Well, but it's XE. It's XE, spelled XE, Z. And so it's very hard to make that toxic because you can hardly even discuss it. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, but they did a double name change. First to Z, then to Academy with an I at the end. So instead of Academy with a Y, like it's normally spelled, Academy with an I at the end. Now, again, that is a word that has multiple meanings. It's used throughout our society. You cannot make the term academy fully toxic. And that's a branding technique. When a company is fighting being horrific and awful and toxic, they change their name to something that is a regular term in our society so that you can't, activists can't actually make the term toxic. You can make it toxic as it pertains to one thing, like, oh, Meta, the social media platform. It's much harder. Anyway, I'm not saying that stops us from, people from being activists about the brand, but it makes it much more difficult. So that's part of the reason for their name change. They're trying to jettison the term Facebook, which I'm sure they've done countless studies on the term Facebook and how toxic it's become. Fucking sitting people down and going, now on a scale from 1 to 10, how positive is your view of Facebook? How positively they do all that shit. They have paid thousands upon thousands, if not millions of dollars to study brand names. And it turns out Meta. People have a positive view of the term Meta. Anyway, that's part of it. Another reason is that they are trying to branch into or grow into the metaverse, which some of you have probably read about. They want to make a lot of our society. Facebook is so large. A lot of people don't understand how large Facebook is. Facebook is so large and has so many people on it and so many people getting data on it that it's basically like a secondary internet. Like, you kind of have the internet and you have Facebook like operating next to it. That's how fucking big it is. Anyway, they want us to do that more. Basically, treat Facebook like it's our internet, and so they want to make a metaverse. They say, which is you have virtual reality goggles. You will walk around in these spaces. Everything you do will either be advertised to or cost money. I don't know if they'll probably keep it free. But the free is to steal your data. They've claimed they have, because virtual reality makes it even easier, because you can cover up your webcam on your laptop right now. Like those of you watching right now, you might have your your webcam covered up. But once we're doing virtual reality, and in order to walk around, you have to have these goggles on. Now you can't turn it off, right? You are, by definition, they're watching your eyes, they're watching your movements, and they can't, that means you can't stop them from monitoring your eye movements, what you glance at a little longer. If you look at a certain brand that you walk by on a virtual sidewalk, that they will be monitoring that. They will know that. They will have testing going to see what your eyes stare at longest. And we just, this call is getting so fucking dystopian. And we also just learned that this was covered in Redacted Tonight last week. We just learned that ISPs, your internet service providers, are labeling you, depending on your search histories and what you do online. They're labeling you, whether you know it or not. They're labeling you things like gay or troubled or affluent Asian or affluent gay Asian. Not that you typed in "I'm gay" on a form, that they believe your web searches are probably a gay person. So they're labeling you that. So now imagine you're walking around in this metaverse they're monitoring now. Facebook claims they have no current plans to monitor your eye movements, but bullshit. They will do it when it becomes useful to do it. That's like when people first signed up for Gmail, and Gmail says we are not monitoring or looking at your emails. And then when it became hugely beneficial for them to do that, they were like, we might be monitoring or looking at your emails because it's easier to advertise to you that way. Anyway, imagine you're walking through this metaverse, and you have not even you may be gay, but you haven't told people, or maybe you don't even think of yourself as gay, but they notice that you're staring a little longer at male posters in the side of this metaverse. And so they then label you secretly, not to your face. They then label you gay and start telling advertisers you're gay. And so you start getting ads meant for gay men. Like, that's how fucked up this could be. And I know I'm picking gay because that's the one that they, in the article we covered for Redacted Tonight, they were pinpointing. But it could be anything. It could be, they've decided you seem to have more Asian choices, so now they've labeled you Asian. They think you have troubled history, so they've now labeled you troubled. It's incredibly dystopian, but we're just about fucking there. And that's what Facebook wants to do, is to create this metaverse, which is how you would walk around and quote unquote enjoy your online life. Now, a lot of you watching this right now may be like, I ain't fucking doing that. Fuck you. I ain't fucking putting on virtual reality goggles and walking through some fake universe where they can monitor my eye movements and my movements and all that shit. But here's the thing. Just like a credit card and the chip on a credit card, if they make more and more society difficult to operate within, unless you are doing this thing, most people will ultimately do it. Because I'm not saying you'll do it all the time, but you'll do it more and more because it's just the common way to operate within our society. Like, it gets to that point, and for a long time, I used credit cards as little as I could. And then it became a thing where a lot of places don't accept payment without a credit card. A lot of places, they won't have the proper change, or they'll fucking roll their eyes and take 20 minutes to get you your change if you give them cash. There's a bunch of reasons that it slowly became more and more difficult to operate within society if you weren't using credit cards. So, not to mention the fucking what's it called? Your credit rating. Like, you get a worse credit rating if you haven't been using a credit card. And literally the last apartment I got, I had to, they asked to see a copy of my credit report, which is fucked up. But it's like, you want to have an apartment. And so you're like, all right, I guess I got to fucking do this now. So they basically made it impossible to operate in society, or at least certain areas of society, without using a credit card. Anyway, I'm just saying that it's easy to be like, I ain't going to use that thing, but then you end up there. So that's how dystopian this has become. And really, it's become the polar opposite of The Matrix. The Matrix movie was that we are in a simulation, as you know. We're in a simulation, and the savior, the Christ figure who needs to take some acting lessons, he is going to break us out of our fake reality, because who wants to live in a fucking little goo ball? You want to be real. You want to be in real life. You want to be in real society. So he's going to break us out and show us our reality. This is the reverse. They are creating a false reality, and we're all ultimately, the goal is for them at least, going to stumble over ourselves to enter the false reality. Please give me the virtual goggles so I can live in the fake world. So this is the polar opposite, and Zuckerberg is like the anti-Neo. He's creating the fake world. He's the Agent Smith. He's creating the fake world, and he's saying, here it is, and we're all like, yay, finally, fake world, where everything costs money, where everything's fully corporate owned. I get corporations own our government right now, but they don't necessarily own every bit of society. Like you could turn off your computer right now and turn off your phone, and you could actually go enjoy your night without a phone, without a computer. So corporations don't own everything, but once you're in a virtual real world, they literally own everything. Like the sidewalk you walk down in virtual world will in the metaverse will be owned by some kind of fucking corporate entity. That's where they want to head. Okay, guys, that has been your moment of clarity. I hope you'll share this. If you want to see my breakdown of the Joe Rogan versus Sanjay Gupta debate over vaccines and various and ivermectin and everything, if you want to see my breakdown of that, go to portable.tv and just scroll down to the Redacted Tonight playlist, and you'll see it there. You can also find it on Rad Indie Media. If you haven't heard, radindiemedia.com, radindiemedia.com is a site I created with Eleanor Goldfield to give you all of the best news from around the web. You'll see it there. It's got all what should be your favorite sources, like really awesome, legit sources that are not fucking CNN and Fox News and all that garbage. So you should just check it every morning. Check it every day. What do you have to lose? Honestly, the average amount of time spent on Rad Indie Media is 2 minutes. That's how quickly it takes you to fucking scan it, figure out which articles are important that day, and go to their site. It's Common Dreams, it's Counterpunch, it's my stuff, it's Gray Zone, it's Jimmy Dore, it's Consortium News, Eleanor Goldfield stuff. It's all there. radindiemedia.com. Please make it fucking bookmark it and make it your morning daily newspaper. Oh, and if you want to support my stuff like this or Common Censored, go to liberapay.com/Lee Camp. All right. Thanks a lot and keep fighting.